Hello, my name is Mark Hatchell, and I would like to discuss with you about the Metasploit basics. First, we want to ask ourselves, what is the Metasploit framework? It is a penetration testing tool that provides easy use for running many exploits. It is semi-automatic. All the user has to do is pick the exploit payloads and options and then execute them, making it a great tool for penetration testing. I actually have a lab at the end, not a lab, but demo at the end of this lecture showing the basics of the Metasploit framework, and actually have an attack. Uh, um, I have a Windows XP machine set up, and I'm going to attack it with my backtrack machine, showing you the basics of the Metasploit framework using the MSF console interface. First, we got to do some simple Metasploit terminology to learn more about Metasploit. You got the basic exploit. An exploit is when the hacker or penetration tester takes advantage of a bug in software or system. Most exploits allow the hacker or penetration tester to completely compromise a system. The most common types of exploits are buffer overflows. Once you use an exploit, usually, you have full authority over that system. You can do anything you want to it. There are many exploits within the Metasploit framework, and you can always create your own exploit and put it inside the framework. It's what makes Metasploit a glorious thing. Then we got the payload, which is the next most common term in Metasploit. The payload is the code that we want to execute on the system if the exploit is successful. A few examples of this is using the bind payload to bind a command prompt to a listening port, or reverse shell that makes the target connect back to you with a command prompt. There's another one that I found interesting and under payloads is the VNC payload. It actually installs the VNC's virtual remote desktop software up there, and when the exploit is finished, it sends you back a GUI of their desktop and allows you to click and do whatever as if you're like on that computer. I thought that was a really neat payload, but you really wouldn't use that from what I heard in penetration testing scenarios, but it still is fun to use. Alright, the next thing is a shellcode. This is the actual instructions used when a target machine is exploited. After the shellcode is executed and finished, the hacker then compromises the system with whatever payload they pick, such as bind shell or simple execute. You can actually just execute a command through a payload. That's one of the options you have. Add the user, or you can execute anything you want. Instead of just binding the shell, you can just execute a command. The next terminology is what we call a module. A module is a piece of software that can be imported into the Metasploit framework. Modules are used throughout the Metasploit framework, rather it being an exploit module what conducts the attack, or an auxiliary module, side software used to do scanning or other various tasks. Then the last thing we got is the listener. The component of Metasploit is what listens. This component of Metasploit is what listens for incoming connections after the target computer has been exploited. This is useful especially when you want a machine to connect to you to bind the command shell instead of connecting to the target machine yourself. Common day to day, you're not going to be able to connect to them most of the time because they're going to have some firewall up or something. So what you want to do is have them connect back to you. There are several payloads within the Metasploit framework that allows that. Most of them have like a reverse TCP, reverse bind, TCP, reverse VNC, just a few, and then you got some eject packets that you can use as, do the reverse to, but that's your best bet is to have them connect back to you instead of connecting to them. Oh, also, about the listener port, you can there's another interface that you can use instead of MSF console that gives you more in there, like more opportunity to do what you want. I'm gonna discuss later in the lecture, and you can actually make a payload and like make your port listening and have multiple targets like connect back to you from that payload that you created. I thought it was pretty interesting that I learned that. Um, I thought it was pretty awesome that you can have like a bunch of targets just randomly connect back to you from your certain payload that you made. Thought I would say that. Um, these are the different Metasploit interfaces. There's only 3 of them, and I would like to discuss that now. First, we got the most popular and my favorite, the MSF console. That's the most basic, most popular, flexible, and easy to use interface of Metasploit. This interface provides of every feature in Metasploit. Just set a few options and let the exploit do its thing. So, like I said, all you gotta do is start up MSF console. You search for the exploit you want, most times using a scanner. Then you view the payloads that's for that certain exploit. Set it. Show the options, look at options, and then you exploit it, and it does everything for you. It connects to the computer, exploits it, and then if it's successful, sends you back whatever payload you picked, like command prompt or anything else, or VNC, all that good stuff. This is the actual picture of the MSF console. You see at the top, MSF console, it has different pictures that pops up. It shows you all the exploits that are in this version. You can see mine ain't been updated in 45 days. You can actually update it manually, update the latest exploits and such. But I thought I'll show you, what it looks like, what you'll see it again in the end of the lecture in the lab. I'll do my alright, here we go, interfaces. MSF CLI. While MSF console is more interactive and user-friendly, MSF CLI runs directly through the command line. This allows the hacker to have total control of the Metasploit framework, allowing them to build unique exploits into the Metasploit framework or redirect output from other tools into MSF CLI. I wouldn't use this interface if you don't have much experience with Metasploit. There are other better interfaces, especially like the one I'm about to tell you next that I just learned. But your best bet is to use a regular MSF console. But all of these interfaces, they have a help command that you can use, and if you it'll tell you all the commands in their descriptions that you can look at that and get a basic idea of all the different things you can do with the Metasploit framework, and it'll help you like get through it. But this is mostly used for advanced penetration testers that want to have total control over their exploit command prompt. Maybe they created their own exploit, want to implement it into the Metasploit framework, or want to have different tools to like redirect output to and such. But this is what they will use. It's good that Metasploit gives you all these options, different interfaces to use and such. I think that's really neat. Art image, this is the first time I actually heard about this. It's a full GUI. I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know Metasploit had a GUI. And, it has the same features as MSF console and all that, except it's in a full GUI form. Drop down boxes, all that jazz. And It's just a fully interactive GUI. I think you should check it out. It's free, and I don't know if it comes with the Backtrack or 5. It might, but you can easily search it and download it. And I think that's a really neat feature that you can use. I forgot who it was created by, but it wasn't created. I don't think it was created by the Metasploit developers. It was created by somebody else. But yeah. Now we go to the Metasploit utilities. This is our last section before we do the demo. Metasploit utilities generally let you do things outside of the framework. The first thing we got is the MSF payload. This utility allows a user to create executables, shellcodes, and a lot more without being in the framework. Depending on the situation, a hacker could use various formats to create shellcode within this utility. Maybe like an exploit already created with like in the Metasploit framework, like that needs a different like format. You could come here and create and edit it and do whatever you want to it. Like web-based attacks, you want to create a payload to do that exploit. But this allows you to actually create without going into the framework or any of the interfaces. To actually just use this utility to create an executable. I mean, like a actual exploit framework to put inside of the exploit to send it off and attack the target machine. Then we got MSF encode, the next utility. This utility helps previously created payload to not have any bad characters or any null characters, because they would completely screw up your payload and make it in early without even doing anything. The exploit might go through, but if your payload is bad, you won't get it behind the shell back. When you create a payload in MSF payload, you would then go to MSF encode to help encode it to not have any bad characters. Next we got the NASM shell. This small utility is used to help an understanding of assembly code within the exploit. On the MSF payload, you actually, get to create a payload for a certain exploit. This is what you actually, view the assembly, actual raw assembly code of the exploit and be able to edit it or understand it better. Different features, different things in the exploit assembly code that you might not want to execute. And if you have knowledge of assembly code, then you can actually change it to whatever your desires are to go through. And the last thing we want to discuss is the Metasploit Express and Pro versions. These are commercial versions of Metasploit, and unlike the free version, these can be fully automated and easier for new users. Well, most people can just use the MSF console. This could be used by anybody really, because it's fully automated for new users. Anybody can use it, so it's up to you if you want to pay for it. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sure it probably costs a decent amount of money. There are various tools that the commercial version has that the free version doesn't, such as automated brute force password cracking, automated website attacks.